All right, we are live. I want to thank everybody for joining. This should be a really interesting conversation. Specifically, I think for people that are thinking about ways in which collaboration happens in this new normal that we're all in, with everybody moving towards virtual options, having to do it in the spring, and many now turning out having to do it in this coming fall. And what does that actually look like, especially when it comes to cross-school collaboration? So I want to welcome you all to this session, and I'm going to pass it off to the presenters.
Hey, everybody. My name is Daniel Nemro. I am the ITC at Patriot High School in Bristow, Virginia. Biz.
My name is Elizabeth Summers. I go by Biz, and I'm the ITC at Fredlin Middle School in Prince William County.
Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie. I am the ITC at Woodbridge Senior High School, also in Prince William County.
And I'm Billy Watts. I'm the ITC at Colgan High School and Prince William County, and we are us, I guess. In a weird Power Rangers kind of concept. We are all uniting.
Oh man, we are off to we are off to a more than awkward start. Okay, so we
there to get started.
What's that?
I just got to get the laughs out to get started.
Oh, okay. That'll be the last time Billy giggles during the presentation, everybody.
No, it won't, but go on.
Anytime his head is not on the screen. So we wanted to talk to everybody about this collaborative effort that we accidentally stumbled upon, I think would be an accurate way to say it, last year, that we have referred to now as the ITCs for all. I do want to say that sometimes I see that title. I don't know if you guys feel like this, but I feel like sometimes that people think that we're saying like we are the be all end all of ITCs.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah,
Right.
God, there are so many things that I don't know that's not possible.
It's so
But I will humble brag a little bit that in talking about this last night with Billy, with going through our outline, that I brought up a scene from a show that Billy and I are obsessed with, and where they talk about that part of the Hippocratic Oath is to treat the patient in front of you. And I feel like as a teacher, I tried really hard to do that, right? Like I tried not to get locked into, I'm going to treat the students I want, I'll help them. And then the students that I don't love so much are just, I tried really hard to be like, you know what, this kid, no matter what's happened previously today or yesterday or whatever, that this is the kid in front of me. So that's the kid I'm going to help. And I think our ITCs for all goal has kind of morphed into that of, I will coach any teacher that has a question. Or any ITC or any secretary or central office staff member. Do you guys feel that at all? That like, I think our ITCs for all is more about like, we just want to be a resource for everybody.
I completely agree. I mean, I think also just even beyond our state, like my mom and my sister are teachers in Arkansas, and they don't have this rule there. So I think, I'm an ITC for my sister, my mom. So whoever we can assist, I think that's what we're about. It's not saying like we are those ITCs for all. We just think there should be ITCs for all.
And I feel like I'm probably jumping ahead in what we want to say, but a big part of being ITCs for all isn't about like Billy, Katie, Biz, and Dan can answer any question you have, but we have tried to build a community where everybody can get an answer. And not that we have that answer, but that maybe we can help people find it.
You guys, Billy, you might have a better memory. Do you guys remember like specifically when we started, we were at ISTE, right?
I think we were thinking it through, right? We were like, what if instead of I'm contacting you in chat and then, oh, that's a great idea. And we'd always joke around, hey, I'm stealing that. And we were like, what if we just send this out? And I think that's how it started as what if the four of us collaborated, and then what if then we just started sharing random thoughts that came through late at nights in chats, and here we are.
Yeah, I think the origin story of our, God, I can't believe it, of our ITC Mighty Morphin Power Ranger.
There we go, bro.
Yeah, I've discussed and dated myself that I prefer the Voltron reference, but that we started this by trying to eliminate some non-essential staff communication. Yeah. That we were trying to not have to email everybody so often, and also not have to email, like, I'm stealing an email from Biz and then she's borrowing something from Katie. And then that we were trying to find a way to provide just stuff for, more people at once. I'm also going to say, I know if there are questions for us If you have a comment, a question, a Power Ranger you like the most, please add those to the comments on YouTube, and we will try to address anything anybody brings up. We kind of had 4 big questions that we wanted to address. The first one was, why did we start this? And it really was that we were trying to eliminate stuff. But I think the goal of the group now has kind of morphed a little bit, where we've kind of moved on to, we're trying to support each other while supporting so many teachers. And I think that is a part of this, why we're lucky enough to be the group that we just happen to be, in that I know that I can go to specific ones of you if I have questions about specific things. Do you guys feel, and Katie, I'll go to you first. Do you feel that there is a kind of environment that we've created where you're either helping an ITC or helping a teacher, but you know that there are other avenues within our own group to get that teacher the support they need? Yeah.
I mean, I think being an ITC, and I'm in a high school of almost 3,000 people, 3,000 students and teachers. That's a lot of people for one person to support. And I am not an expert in all the things, but I think like with our group and also an extended group of other ITCs now, that I feel comfortable being like, hey, you know what? I don't have the answer, but let's call Nisha, or let's call Billy, or let's call Dan, and let's, find an answer, because that person is an expert on this and they can help you. So I think it takes us out of like our silo of our school, and it really makes us a truly like collaborative, professional learning community, like throughout our whole district.
Yeah, I think we've taken the PLN a little bit to another level, in that it's not just my Twitter universe is very much geared towards things I like and things I want information on. But this community has become something more of like, because we taught different disciplines, and because, we're not all high school background. Billy was in an elementary school, and I worked at an alternative ed school. So did Billy, and business ed middle school. And, we have all these different backgrounds. I think we were kind of lucky a little bit if anybody watching this is thinking this is something we'd like to create. I think this was more of a happy accident, I think, for us. But Biz, maybe you can speak to a little bit about like being of the 4 of us, you're the middle school kind of representative that I think sometimes I get information from Biz, because she has a perspective of, this is what the kids are doing now. Because, we're not at the same, we're going to absorb middle school kids eventually when they get to high school. But I think that kind of different perspective of each of us enhances the group a little bit.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And you said you get something from me where I can say, like, here's where your future students are currently. I feel I can say the same thing from all 3 of you. Like, here's what my students will be doing next year, and here's what I need to make sure that they are ready for. And I think as we continue to build our community, like we've gotten a lot of elementary school teachers in our community over the past month or so. And I've learned a lot from them about what they need and what their kids are experiencing. So yeah, having those differences really helps us understand our students better, which is what really matters.
Yeah, I think it's one of the topics that we talk about so much in education right now, right? Like vertical alignment and stuff is like a good like vocab buzzword for us. But then there's Billy Watts, who wants to save the entire world.
I do want to save the whole world, buddy.
Billy, do you think that is this environment providing us the ability to kind of reach more people, not just by like the obvious things? Like we started, I remember like when we first started the Facebook group, and we're like, we have 50 people. Like,
right.
I think
like
a lot
of pressure. That's 50 people.
yeah. I think like my mom and my brother were, but as far as like our different roles, Billy, you're a unique one, I think, of all 4 of us, in that you've worked at a special ed alternative school as a middle school teacher, then as an elementary school ITC, and now as a high school ITC, kind of seeing the big picture from all 3 levels. How do you think that's kind of shaped your role in the group?
So it's really made me think of, how can we not just be the sprinkle on a teacher's lesson, but we can actually build teachers with confidence that can then give kids real life things. You talked about our origin story, and I had brought up, like, remember when we all started just on March 3rd, we had virtual PD day, and we found out that our school was going to have a virtual work day for the first time. And we were like, hey, let's do a virtual work day. And we started off with just this flip grid that we put out there that we were like, okay, we're going to have it done before, the workday happens. And just looking at that as how we connected not just central office people, principals, we connected people that were us, obviously, but then we also connected elementary school and middle school and special ed and individual teachers. We brought that all in. And everybody replied to each other's thoughts, and just using a platform that we automatically always use with our students, but using it with our colleagues as well. And then from that, taking it to the ITCs for All group and how that's gone from there. I think it's giving all of our teachers a chance to not feel like they're on an island by themselves, especially in the midst of a pandemic, to feel like it's their responsibility to educate not just the class they have, but the individual student. And yes, let's save them all.
Billy, what's your analogy about sprinkles, though? I wanted you to say that on YouTube so people can hear it.
Thanks, buddy. I always say I don't want to be the sprinkle on the cupcake of a teacher's lesson. I want to be what is valuable, what is delicious.
The filling of the cupcake.
I want to be the filling. Yes, I want to be the filling cupcake, but that makes me feel squishy.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, squishy.
So what is the goal of the group? I think we've talked about that. We really want to support everybody, but it's also, I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is that our Facebook community has become, especially in a time when social media can be so divisive and toxic, that we have been, I want to say fortunate, but I know fortunate is too humble. We have cultivated intentionally a community where it's a support system, where it's a safe place to ask questions and it's a safe place to not know things. Biz, do you have a specific incident or anything that you've seen within our Facebook community that has made like a proud mama bear moment of like, look at this community that we've made because people are there helping? Sometimes people answer questions on there. I don't even know who it is who's answering the question.
Yeah.
Is there a specific kind of like moment that you can think of maybe where you've seen something on the page where you've like, wow, we've really built a community that is helping each other?
Yeah, well, I think today is actually a perfect example. We've all been really busy today. We're running a camp all morning, all week, getting people ready to teach with Canvas. And so we are largely neglecting our Facebook community and moderating posts and trying to help people out. But when I looked when we had our lunch break today, and every question was answered, and none of them by us, and some of them not by ITCs. And so I think it's just the perfect example of people who are like, well, I figured this part out, so let me share. And I'm going to answer your question twice.
Yeah.
Nice. My other answer is, I think another thing that I'm really proud of is a lot of times I have to be reminded how to help somebody who is not coming from a solutions-based perspective. Sometimes people want to come to us and they want a shoulder to cry on. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I know how to be that for someone. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry.
No, you're good. Keep going.
But yeah, one thing I've really learned from this experience is that even if they come looking for a shoulder to cry on, you can be that. And you can also say but now that you've shared what you feel, let's move forward with that. And how can we still be effective? Because we can't address what we're looking at this year. And I've seen that attitude really be able to shift in our community.
Yeah, I think Katie has done a particularly good job of kind of like steering our Facebook page so that it is a solutions oriented kind of space where we remind people that, it's the hard part about being an ITC for me at the beginning, especially, was that your students, a lot of time you had students that were students, but you also had students that were teachers, and we want to treat them differently inherently because they are. But sometimes some of my proudest moments in a classroom as a math teacher are kids raise their hand and they have a question. And then another student will be like, Mr. Nimro, I got it. I'll take this one. And like a kid answers another student's question and you're like, I've created an environment where students are teaching students. And I think that's kind of the environment that we've created with other people answering questions who we don't even know who they are sometimes, but they're in there and they have the answer. Katie, is there a moment that you can think of, or a post or an interaction that has kind of proven to you a little bit that the page is almost just, taking care of itself a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, anytime I see teacher just reply to another teacher and have the answer, and then they're so like appreciative of each other, like we've built like the space and the capacity for that to happen, I think is really great. I mean, so we built this Facebook group because the people that we wanted to reach initially, those are not the Twitter teachers. I think there's a really good, if you think about it, there's the Instagram teachers. Those are the like, especially the elementary teachers who want to make everything cute. Sorry, it's just how it is. Instagram's visual, so that's what it's about. Then you have Twitter, who is like the really socially engaged, pedagogy engaged teachers who are looking for, instruction, and that is their focus. So I think we've taken the Facebook group and we've opened it for a community who, maybe isn't completely comfortable with technology. And, they're not on maybe Twitter or Instagram. They're not taking part in that. But they now take part in like this conversation that we've started. So
Yeah,
I think that's been really valuable.
I totally agree. Billy, did you want to add any?
No, I mean, to me, it's just so nice to see, even like in Biz and Dan and Katie have done this so well, where somebody comes with a fear, they're upset, they're unknown of what's happening, and just it's the rallying of support around them. I think that's what's better than us, trying to be edu celebrities, trying to promote this on social media. It's each other helping each other. That's really what has grown the community beyond what any of us would have thought in less than 6 months.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and say, like, you mentioned, like, it's something we cultivated and it's something we have to work on every day. And I think it's a really good lesson for classroom teachers moving into the fall, thinking about creating a culture in their classroom. Like every day we have to kind of remind people either directly with a post or indirectly just with a vibe of the type of community that we want this to be, that this isn't a place to complain about district decisions. This isn't a place to not to just complain. It's a solutions-based space and a place for growth. And that's something we continually have to remind the group of, either subtly or directly. And I think it's a great lesson for teachers looking to remote teach in the fall, that that's something you're going to have to do in your remote classroom.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that I see, I see sometimes, on different Facebook pages and news sites and stuff, that if you click like an article and you're like 71 comments, oh my God. And you just click in the comments just to see what it is. And I think what has happened on our page is that when there's that many comments, you click in and you see, and it's just a bunch of different ideas. It's been super like I don't know what the right word is, like uplifting maybe, that the teachers that have decided to buy in and become part of this community with us have just bought into the idea that this is not where you go for one thing. This is where you go for help. This is where you go to offer help. This is where you go to just listen and give an idea. I think it's funny and slightly ironic that Billy thinks that me and Katie and Biz have done such a good job at all that, when Billy is so good at listening to somebody that is in one place and like you turning that person down to a different path. So now that I complimented you, you can say whatever you want to say now.
Thanks, buddy. But Katie, it goes to what you were saying. I think that is going to be like, everybody's upset and scared about the virtual instruction component. But in a classroom, and when you're in the building as an instructional technology coach or instructional technology resource teacher, you would walk down to that teacher's classroom. You would sit in that classroom face to face. You would make eye contact, and you would be there for the teacher. And that is really the struggle that I think I found, is how do you still build a relationship with educators when you are behind a screen? And I think it is the model for, this is how you cultivate and invest in each other. When you have students in the fall, how do you build relationship with each kid? Because behind a screen, a kid's not going to learn, but a kid will learn if they feel that they can trust you.
Man, you are super quotable today. So if you are a school district or a group that is trying to do something similar, so our next big question, how have we shared, advertised, spread the word? And for me, and I'll let you guys talk about this too, obviously, but like, for me, the coolest part is that what's the number currently? Where it's 1,900 plus, right? Like we'll hit 2,000 probably by the end of the week.
Creeping up on it.
Yeah, we haven't taken out a single ad. We haven't paid a single dollar, you know, because you guys know that's a thing, right? Like you can pay a website and get a bunch of Instagram followers so you look cooler. Because that's how you look cool. But we, you know, we created the Facebook page. We created the Twitter and didn't use it that much. We have an Instagram that has 0 posts. And we're working on a website. But really, I think the way that it has spread so organically is just by word of mouth. I don't know what you guys, if you guys have told, you know, you tell a couple people and then a couple people tell a couple people like that. That to me has been how it's grown. Have you guys seen any specific growth in this over? I know that like we've had certain events that like right after that event, we get like a boom, big, quick uptick because people are like, oh, this is different. And they go on Facebook and they invite 71 people. Have there been things that you guys have seen specifically that have spread the word sort of for us, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, I think having our live events through the summer has been really probably the biggest organic driver of membership. I think people just telling people like, oh my gosh, there's actually something on Monday I can go to like every week and someone's going to tell me something new I don't know. Like, that's great. And I don't have to pay for it. And it's just like, it's very informal and a very relaxed vibe. I think that's been our biggest push to building things. I mean, I only shared it initially with my staff. I haven't like, you know, pushed it any other way. And I think my staff and your staff and your staff and your staff have just like spread it to colleagues they used to work at a school with, or they know from down the street within the community. And it's just spread. And then people will start to invite, you know, to the group, like their whole friend list of pre-WCS employees. And then it's just exploded.
Biz, have you seen a specific kind of maybe moment or event that you can think of that afterwards we saw a big uptick? Like, any specific things that we've done maybe that have caused growth?
I think it's mostly based on need. And when teachers realize that they are needing a little more support, we start to see them. So, events like when we first announced that our county was moving to a new LMS, people are like, where can I need to learn more about this from as many places as possible. When we announced that our county was going to start the first quarter of the year next year virtually, we got another influx, which I think we're still seeing people on that influx. But I agree. We were really, really careful at the beginning we talked about just adding all of our staff members and decided not to, because we didn't want anybody in the group just to fill it up or just to like make ourselves feel good about numbers. We wanted people who asked to be there or who accepted an invitation from somebody else. We were just trying to help people who wanted to be helped.
I think a little bit because of the nature of our jobs, right? That we are all on teacher contracts. So we're off now also when so many things that have been, that we know are going to be like impactful technologically, instructionally, all those things are happening in the absence of all of us with our staffs. I know Billy, you and I have talked about that. There's been sort of, not to anyone's fault, just kind of by circumstance and by happenstance, there's this vacuum that we have filled. And most of it for me, and I'll let Billy talk about this because he probably does more of these than anybody. Some of it I think is just that we've offered so many office hour opportunities where it's just us in a Zoom or us in a Google Meet or us on Teams of just, I'll be here, Billy sometimes on his deck, just wherever, just answering questions. I think sometimes so many people they just want their questions answered. I think that the office hours has played a big role in us kind of filling that vacuum and then growing the community.
One of the things that really got me the other day is my wife is not an educator, and at her job she teaches little kids, and there were parents in the lobby, and they were talking about the ITCs for All group. Like they were like, hey, so I'm doing this Camp Canvas this week. What are your thoughts? And they were like, oh yeah, I'm a member of that group too. And of course, my wife wanting to brag, she was like, my husband's in there too. And I was like, that's awkward. But just the fact that like outside of just the educator community, this is being seen as a solution. And going to what Dan's saying, yeah, the office hours are forever, and I want to save everybody. And people just want to be heard. They just want to listen. So like now you start to think of, so we've built a network for teachers and educators to feel confident, to feel comfortable for the fall. and beyond the fall, right? But then also, how are we going to think about how are we supporting? We're a giant school division. What are we, like 34th in the nation? How are we going to support our entire parent community, not in a complaining way, but in a solutions way?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I love when we go back and look at all the shared docs and things that we have. And I don't know who was responsible for writing when people experience something novel and positive, they want to bring their friends. But that is, that was Biz or Katie, I think, that wrote that. But that's such a perfect sentence of kind of what we've very intentionally created in this, is that I don't know of another group like this. And I don't know of another group on social media that is quite this positive. And people they want to bring their friends. I've had people text me about it, of saying like, hey, is that ITCs for all group? Is that a real thing? Like, yeah, it's a real thing. Like, oh, because everybody loves it. I didn't know if it was like they're trying to sell us stuff. I was like, no, they aren't.
Not selling anything, right?
They aren't.
There's no
I have
LLC.
Yeah, I
There's
have
no
nothing.
conferences. There's not
Our Patreon is coming.
So the final of the big questions for us, and I think this is something that this is ironic to have this talk on YouTube, guys. This is now an intervention. This is a conversation that we've literally been having this conversation lately among the four of us of what happens in the fall. You know, when we aren't virtual anymore, when we're not all just in our rooms or Billy's in his bunker or wherever it is that we are, doing this, what happens in the fall. And I think, step one, we've talked about, we really, to further hammer home the point that we don't have all the answers, we want more people on board. But then also, I think we want different people on board. Biz, who are you, not maybe a specific person, but maybe what kind of voice are you looking forward to us adding in the fall to our kind of voice on ITCs for All?
Actually, I'm hoping that we can kind of to branch out in that the things that we've been able to do in the past year, we've been able to do because of technology, right? Like, none of us work in the same building. And so we rely largely on our phones and computers to be able to work together. And I'm just thinking now that those building walls are broken down for all of our teachers. So what I'd love to see happen within our community is people working together, just the way we work outside of our buildings, is finding people that they can really connect with and work well with, and not just say, well, I'm working with this 8th grade math teacher because they teach in the room next to me, but I'm working with this 8th grade math teacher because we have complementary strengths. And I'm hoping that those people will really be able to find each other and build together.
Yeah, that's, man, super quotable too. So much pressure now. Katie, is there a voice that you're looking forward to maybe us adding to the group in the fall?
Yeah, I definitely think that we need more elementary voices because we are all secondary. So that would be a really great addition to having more elementary focused events or topics, and also just more diversity in our group in a lot of ways. Racially, age-wise, we're all like within 3 years of each other, I think, in age. So we're all very, very similar. So I just think a more diverse group in general would be great.
Billy, what about you?
You know me, let's save them all. I really want to see us stop being this. I don't know what other districts are in the state, but having this, it's my school versus what the district is telling me, what versus maybe the political leaders are telling me. But like, this is one of those moments, like, right? Like a decade from now, we're going to look back and say, we didn't like what happened, but we had an opportunity to move education in the path that's going to change our grandchildren and our children's education. And I want to bring more of those leaders that can give us a bigger perspective than just what's happening inside of my classroom.
Yeah, I think the exciting thing for me is that I'm curious to see how what we're doing actually affects student learning. Because all of the things we're doing, the end result we hope is that it's a better process, situation, experience for the student. And so if we start getting feedback of like, hey, I was nervous for this, or I was hesitant to this, or this is something I never tried, and then I did it with my kids, and it was an amazing, like, I can't wait for those experiences to start showing up on the page. And I don't know if that'll cause more people to come, but I bet it will. You know what I mean? When somebody's going to post something to their personal Facebook, but then they're going to copy it to us or tag us in it because they learned something over the summer that they did with, on one of the days or in one of our sessions or at Camp Canvas or on the daily things in July, that they're going to say, I watched a 4-minute video on July 18th and it taught me how to do this. And so now I can do this. But then the end result being that, it's the teacher feels better, the teacher feels stronger and more competent. And because of that, the student experience is the true beneficiary from it. So I'm excited to see that transition. We do have a question in the chat. Is the ITCs for All group open to everyone? That is a really good question.
We go back and forth on that.
Yeah, we want really, well, I'll say in theory, yes. In theory, yes. I can't see any of the four of us saying that we would not let a teacher in. A lot of the things we talk about are specifically geared towards Prince William County schools. But if there was a teacher that wanted to know more about something, again, Billy wants to save the planet, and I tell the starfish story 2 times a week. So everybody knows the starfish story, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, this is another. All right, Billy's going to cry. Billy will his screen will fade to black at one point in the story. I feel like this is a little bit us also. And this was a story that, and I'm going to tag her on Facebook now. Our principal, when me and Billy first got our very first teaching jobs, was Mary Ellen Garduno.
I can't believe she hired us.
They're so desperate for special ed teachers back then, buddy.
I know.
And the story goes that this a young person is walking on the beach, and there was a huge storm the night before, and all the waves crashing in had brought thousands and thousands of starfish up onto the shore. And so the young person is walking on the beach, throwing them in one at a time, and an older person walks up to them and says, what are you doing? And he says, well, they're going to die, if we don't throw them back in the water. Like the sun will get hot and it'll kill them. They need the water. And the older person says, well, you can't save them all. And so, like, it doesn't matter, like if you can't say, and the younger person picks up one starfish, throws it back in and says it mattered to that one. And it kind of aligns to me a little bit. Yes, Biz. Yes. I almost got Biz. Katie's like, shut up.
This is the dichotomy of our group.
Yeah. And I think that a little bit goes along with like the Hippocratic Oath thing. Like, I can't imagine us saying to any of the teachers, like, we wouldn't save that one. Yeah, I'll save that one too. So yeah, if you're out there and you request, one of us will let you in, even if somebody will just click approve. It's fine.
Can I give an answer with less feelings?
Oh, gosh, but I'm in such a good place.
I know, it's really nice.
Yeah.
So my answer would just be like, super definitely follow us on Twitter at ITCs for All. And we would welcome you into our Facebook community as well, as long as like Dan said, anyone understands that like our priority is serving Prince William County teachers and the tools that they use. So we're never going to be experts on like Blackboard, but we know a lot about Canvas. And we can't help you with apps that aren't approved by Prince William County, because we're going to try to push people away from those all the time just to protect our students.
Certainly way less feels.
I'm sorry, but also you can be our starfish and we'll do everything we can right
now. Or subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Yeah. Go to youtube.itcsforall.com and you can subscribe to us there, and then you get all the videos.
I feel like this is a big infomercial right now.
Yeah, no,
subscribe and save.
I need questions.
Except for everything's free.
Everything's free. Yeah.
We botched the infomercial game. Three big takeaways. If we wanted to offer 3 big takeaways to anybody listening about who was trying to cultivate this kind of professional.
Yeah, that's a word.
Unique New York. Professional learning network. One of the things that we try really hard to do is to keep the topic. Katie, can you talk a little bit about how we do that as far as, keeping the topic.
Yeah, so I'll just give an example. Recently, our school board, of course, made the recent decision that we'd be starting virtual, and there was a series of school board meetings leading up to that decision. So the morning of, that meeting that was happening that evening, I just reminded everyone, like, hey, we know this meeting is going to happen, and we know it's like going to have a lot of feelings one way or another, and you're totally allowed to have those feelings. But this space is for like solutions-oriented problem solving and support. So if you are asking for that, we are here for you. If you are not here for that, we ask you that you take that to one of a zillion other places that you can have that outlet. So we just, again, like that is a very direct reminder to people in the group of what our group is about. More subtle reminders and vibes about like what our group is about. Like, for instance, we started Camp Canvas yesterday. And before we started Camp Canvas, I put a post, like put a GIF about how you're feeling about Canvas. So it creates like a fun, relaxed, but also like people could choose a GIF that maybe they were scared, but because it's a GIF, it's like a little more funny. And then we can say, oh, but we're here for you and we're providing support.
Yeah, if you're going to reply with feels, it has to be some kind of starfish story. Otherwise, take that somewhere else.
Yeah.
I also think that we do, and this is something that we're teaching teachers, that we're teaching our kids, our own children, sometimes our parents, about that we're providing an environment that models digital citizenship of the kind of, the kind of digital world that we'd like to live in. I know, Billy, that's a big thing that you like to talk about a lot, about, that we have to not just model this and not just talk about it, but live it a little bit with the digital citizenship piece of what we're doing.
Yeah, so I like to encourage, like what Katie was saying, you have those feelings, and there's so many other places to talk to. And we've experienced that in our group of, people are afraid and scared. And I've reached out to them and said, here's my direct office hours link. If you want to chat, let's chat. Like, let's talk through it. But there is the personal you that we can stay private one-on-one, and the professional you that I can Google. And that version is not the impression that parents want to find when they Google search you. And that's really the scared caution that I have of having, and the groups makes fun of me because I never post on Twitter, but that's the scared part that I have of posting something online through social media, because it is there permanent, and it is Google, and it does write your story.
I'll also add that we have many employees in our district that are parents, and they have friends. And it is a screenshot away from anything on our Facebook that is negative being shared out. And then our group is viewed negatively. So us cultivating the positivity in the group is really important, not just for the people who are looking at the group from the inside, but from the possibility of it being shared outwardly.
Yeah, I think that leads right into the next big takeaway. And we've talked a lot about this, about how even though this will make it more sound very infomercial again, but none of this is, if this is an infomercial, we're doing it all wrong. But the four of us talk a lot. What's that?
Nothing. I'm good.
Okay. Are you? That the four of us talk a lot about how important our brand is. And it's little things, not just as much, we don't want to be screenshot and put out there in some kind of bad negative light, but it's also like down to the branding of the conversation. I forget which one it was, but we have, a chat going with the four of us, and Billy was doing Billy things, and I was just hiding, I think, from everything. And Biz and Katie had like a 50 text message conversation about an icon, because we're even down to the rocket that we have, and like all these things. We're trying to be very intentional about our branding. Is there something from like our branding, from colors or logos, or you think that like, I don't know, memorable that we chose, or like intentional that we chose? I feel like a lot of it is like, I wonder sometimes if people look at like our colors and things like that and think, that all of those are so intentionally chosen, or at least talked about ad nauseum. I know that.
Well, I wish you hadn't asked me, because I think I'm the person who's like most intimidated by the whole branding aspect. And I just like it when Katie and Billy just start. Yeah, you're right. We shouldn't let them speak about it.
I was going to let you and I talk a little bit first, though, because I feel like we don't have that much to add to this.
Right. But yeah, I do remember talking to Katie about if the rocket should be like upwards or sideways or something. But yeah, I do wish people, well, no, I don't think anyone should ever be subjected to the amount of conversations that went into picking those colors. That said, though, it really does help me. Like when I'm working on a presentation for the group, to be like, okay, I've got a color palette to start with, and I've got these graphics that I can use. And it actually simplifies things for me, because I'm like, okay, I don't have to start from scratch. I've got a working frame of reference, and anything I do then also people will be like, oh, well, this is tied to that. I don't, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That,
Oh, the colors match. This must be an
yeah.
ITCs for all
ITCs for
production.
all.
I think I asked you, Biz, because I think you and I are in the both in that regard, where Billy and Katie are so much better at us than that like it's one of the dynamics of our group that I just appreciate that they both are really good at that and enjoy that, because then I have the same feeling. I know that if I am making something or doing something that's from us, I just pull from us. And so it's not as hard to, that brand I think matters. It doesn't look like, even though we are a hodgepodge of people, everything we put out has a certain look and feel to it that I think is important. Graphic nerds, do you guys want to talk now?
Billy and I wrestled over the icon for weeks, I think, about what little symbol would represent us.
It's a lot of commitment.
It is. And I think we eventually got to the rocket because it's technology, it's innovation, it's like looking forward to the future. But then also like the icon of a rocket is really kid friendly because, I'm high school, he's high school, we're high school, middle school, but we also still do want to connect with elementary school ITCs and students. And I think anything more conceptual wouldn't have been really understood by a little kid. But a rocket, I mean, that's cool.
So for me, I think the colors, if you talk not just about how if you're building this across your district, but even just inside of your school, you're thinking, okay, we're in a hybrid model or an online model for next school year. Like, how do you maybe cultivate a professional learning community amongst your teachers? How do you cultivate that community amongst your parents or your students? And something as simple as picking colors on coolers and getting a palette and then voting on it, and then like that builds your brand and it creates this community. It makes people want to buy t-shirts. Like one of our people in our group was like, when are the t-shirts coming out? And we're like, t-shirts? Okay.
Billy got misty-eyed on the t-shirts.
Not gonna wear it, but I can.
We'll add it to your little piece of furniture there behind you of like your framed t-shirt. Yeah. I think the last big takeaway for us might be the part of this whole experience, and I'll say this on YouTube for forever because I've already said it to you guys. I feel so fortunate to be a part of this group because we, in my opinion, were kind of just a happy accident. I think we all just were standing next to each other at one point when it was time to go get food, and it was like, "Do you want to get food?" And this kind of just happened. I think if you were in a school district or in a school or in some, maybe a vertical team of schools trying to build a community like this, choosing the group carefully really matters. We were, I think, just incredibly lucky to be in the right place at the right time and have a similar feeling about an idea. But I think the common goals and philosophies, but different strengths and skills kind of nature of the group is hugely important. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Katie, go.
Yeah, I definitely think it's great to find other people who have strength that are not your own. Because I mean, why just work with other people who are just like you? That would be pointless. Like if I wanted to just be like, get my own ideas validated, then I just work by myself. Like, but if I want someone to challenge me, and I think that's really what most kind of like go-getter people want, is someone to challenge them. Like even in my private life, I want my partner to challenge me. I don't want to just be stagnant, right? So I want people that are going to challenge me and make me grow and let me grow with them as well.
Biz, you were going to say something when it was awkwardly quiet, and I said, "Katie, go."
I think Katie said it very well. I like that. No, I think it's important to be different from other people. Going back to the graphics thing, right, which is not my greatest strength. Katie was just going through Adobe Graphics one night. It's like 9:00 at night, and she messages me and she's like, "I found a graphic that's perfect for you, and I bought it and I colored it, and now you can use it." And I do, and I love it. It's great. But I never would have found that graphic.
You could have a whole talk just on this.
Oh my gosh. If it hadn't been for her, I never would have found it or bought it or colored it, and I would just kept doing what I was doing. So I think she made my presentation game stronger, and I'm very grateful for that. And if we're gonna go like starfish level mushy, like I like that we are friends be like, I can talk to you about things that aren't work,
like produce.
Produce, mainly actually what I like talking to you about.
I don't like that.
A lot of produce. And if anyone wants to go with Misfits Market, we have a code for you.
Okay, we're officially an infomercial
No,
now.
that's it.
Okay.
Perfect.
I hope we're live, but I hope at some point that gets edited. Billy, I think that you're one of the more versatile people I think I mentioned earlier because of this, but I know that you appreciate the different kind of, when you need this, you go to Biz, when you need this, you go to Katie, when you need this, you come to me. Can you talk a little bit about how our common goals but different skills have affected maybe your experience as in the group or as an ITC?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, I'm an introverted person, and so this whole experience causes me anxiety. But I think speaks to a lot to our teachers and our students and even our building leaders. Like, we as teachers we became educators because we wanted to like grow our own little classroom and have our own little room of 30 to 150 kids that come in, and we close the door and nobody else comes in. It's ours. It's our space. We decorate it. We make it our home. We get sad when we get kicked out. And so this is challenging and scary at first, but I think surrounding yourself with people that will make you better. And going back to Dan's Hippocratic Oath, like, being proactive in your solutions. Like, if anybody that is thinking of building this at their school level or at the district or even at the state level, don't wait for a problem to come up with a solution, but be bold, be brave. And if you're doing what's best for kids and for parents, you're always going to win. It doesn't matter if it steps on people's toes, forget them. If you're doing what's right for kids, that's all that matters. And as long as, like, that's really our common alignment and our visions.
Man, we should stop there. Oh, that's super quotable Billy Watts today, everybody. So there we are. All four of us are on Twitter. Billy's only on Twitter by name. So if you actually want Billy to reply, you need to tag one of us also so that we can force him to reply. The four of us together are on Twitter at ITCs for all, and all of our resources can be found at itcsforall.com. This has been fun. I have no idea if anyone's on YouTube watching. I don't know if they've enjoyed this at all, but I feel like the four of us got to spend 47 minutes together that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So that's it for us.
Yeah, only about 70 people watching online. So I think that's all.
Welcome to our infomercial.
That's right. Get those promo codes in now. Will you throw in the free toaster, Dan?
Yeah. Jeez.
Well, I want to thank you all. Thank you so much, both to the people watching as well as you all for agreeing to present to this. I think it's a really great model, not only for people who are interested. You know, I saw a lot of people in the comments going, "Oh, I wish I had this." And I think really one of the messages there, right, is go and build it, right? Go and build that in your county, right? And try and replicate what you all are doing there. You know, I saw lots of comments about the camaraderie and just like what a joy it is to hear people, having fun amidst a time that can be somewhat rough for folks. So I absolutely appreciate you all taking the time to present this, and thank you all, everybody else, so much for watching. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye. And the stream has ended.